Fitness tip of the week. What I want to hit on today is we talked a little bit about flexibility of the hips, how important that is, but really I want to hit on how you get that key power in your golf swing, and you got to build that strength of your hips.
Okay.
And I want to talk a little bit about the X factor. So I'm going to demonstrate here real quick, and then you can hit on just the different physiological parts of the body that we need to work on. So,
okay.
All right. So when it comes to the X factor, and I hit on this once before too, but I'm going to really demonstrate here. When it comes to your hips, we want to keep them pretty much stable as possible. Okay. This is where the strength comes into your hips. What I tend to see with a lot of golfers is they get back and their hips are pretty much the same angle as their shoulders. Okay. So there's no resistance, there's no torque, and that means no power. Okay. So when I take my backswing, I'm swinging with this heavy, which is a good workout. All right, here we go. If you watch, the more resistance I create between my shoulders, and then you can show on the hips, and if you look at that angle, the wider the angle, the more power you're getting, more resistance, more torque. So if I stand up, I'm losing that angle.
Right, less X.
Less X, yep,
Yes.
less X factor. Okay, so Jim McLean talks about that in his book, but I just want to talk about it with the fitness side of it. So if you want to hit on that a little bit.
Yeah, so here's what we're looking at. We talk about hip strength. Really what we have two aspects of hip strength. First of all, whenever we're going back and we're trying to keep those hips stable, we need a lot of strength to just hold them stable. They're not just going to stay there by themselves. And so we got to be able to have strength enough to maintain that position. But by doing so, as our torso twists, what we're basically doing is it's like pulling a rubber band, okay? And we're talking about abdominals at this point. These abdominals, there's more tensile load being placed on these abdominals. So whenever we release, there's just more pressure against that rubber band to just shoot forward, okay? And so that's why we want to keep our hips stable. So we really create as much tension as possible. So when we're ready to go, we can go with a lot of power, a lot of speed.
And with the X factor coming through, if you think about it, so now when I come through, if my hips now release, it's the same thing coming through. The wider the angle between the hips and the shoulders coming through, the more power you're going to create. It's that rubber band, like you talked about, that effect.
Right, so the phase two of hip strength is, okay, we've held them stable, now we want to release and drive them, so we've got to have some explosive, some good power there to really drive them forward. We don't want to be back on our heels, we want to be forward, okay, at the end of our stroke. So that's where that hip strength comes into play.
Exactly.